does Donald F. and Trump not understand that he ain't running for president right now against nobody? He ain't doing it. And in fact, he ain't never going to run for president again. He's done presidenting, is what it is. And he thinks he's running against the Joe Bidens still. And Joe Biden's just a private citizen now. He's what they call a former president. Ain't even up in the politics. And nobody's informed up on Donald F. and Trump that, hey man, you ain't got to be being mean to the Joe Bidens all the time. He ain't even running against you anymore, man. He ain't doing it. You know, I think he's crushed up on him is what it is. You know, he's like a first grader, little girl there that's got a crush on a little boy there in her class. So she's always a little mean to him, pinching him and pushing him and stuff like that. That's what Trump's doing with the Joe Biden's, hoping he'll come kiss him, is what it is. Now, you would think that he'd be all crushed up on Bill Clinton still, Bubba, you know, that it ain't. I think is what it is he saw that felony revenge porn there that Marjorie Taylor Greene waved all around the floor of Congress. He saw Hunter Biden's meat missiles, what it is, and he's like, well, you know, the fruit don't fall far from the trees. What I heard, I bet Joe Biden is packing. He's got a big old man crush on the Joe Biden, so he's talking mean stuff about him all the time. Still, can't get him out of his mind. He's obsessed with the Joe Bidens. And the thing is he said there just yesterday that Joe Biden gave him the biggest inflations that the world has ever seen. That's what he said. And I'm like, man, this dude right here, his memory is shot. I mean, if it wasn't for the syphilitises that are already up there in his brain bucket, now he's got that vascular dementia getting up there too. He can't remember nothing. Plus, at the time, I can understand, he was so busy back there whenever he got done pretending to be president and they kicked him out of the White House. He was so busy criming and stuff still. You know, he had to do all that insurrecting and all, and then he had to steal a bunch of classified documents. Then he had to go bury his wife there on the golf course and everything. Had to do all that stuff. Plus, he was tied up in court and stuff because he was getting indicted down by everybody. I mean, there was indictment coming from left and right. You get in where you fit in kind of indictments, what he was getting. You know, Jack Smith had him indicted up there, and Fonnie Willis had him indicted down there in Georgia. I mean, he was indicted everywhere. So he was kind of busy there. And then he was up in that courtroom in New York getting charged up on 34 felonies for screwing a porn star and then hiding it from the electorate by paying hush money 34 different times to her. You know? That's what he got all them felonies for. So what I'm saying, he was a busy dude, and he may not remember what had happened was he gave Joe Biden the inflations is what he did. You know, that's what happened. He gave the Joe Bidens the inflations. It wasn't the other way around. So we had this thing called a worldwide pandemic is what happened. And the thing it was is see, it wouldn't have been so bad if, look, the Donald F. and Trump in 2017 didn't pass that giant tax cut for billionaires, for people that didn't need the money already. You know, that's what happens when you do that. It takes all that trillions of dollars, gives it to people that don't need it, and they don't spend it is the thing. They don't spend it and don't get pulled out through taxation, so it just fattens up the money supply right there and gives us the inflations, you know. That right there was the first driver of the inflations. But then we had a worldwide pandemic and supply chain issues and stuff. And then we had people like the Krogers price gouging people because they admitted it under oath. You know, that's what happened there. And see, they blame those little stimmy checks that we got. Now, it's more to do with, well, you know, giant trillions of dollars in tax cuts, because whenever you blow up the national debt and then you put money in circulation that don't get taken out, well, you get the inflations. You know, those stimmy checks that we got spent by people that, guess what, they didn't have at the time? Money. They didn't have money. That's why they got the stimmy checks, you know. So that was just replacing the money that wasn't there, you know. So anyway, he just seems to forget that he's the one that actually gave Joe Biden the inflations. Everybody else remembers it. Literally everybody else remembers it except Donald F. and Trump, Fox Faking News, and his cult members. See, the inflations were already loaded up in the barrel whenever Joe Biden assumed office there, what happened. And then they climbed, and he dealt with that for 4 years and got them back down again. Well, now then Donald F. and Trump's up there pretending he's back up in the White House, and he's got some inflations going on. And we're going to have a lot more, because guess what he just did again? Big trillions of dollars in tax cuts for billionaires and millionaires, people who don't need the money there. So they're going to hoard it. And fatten up the money supply, give us the inflations again. See, you see how it works? And so anyway, and then the jobs numbers, we don't get the jobs numbers for November, not until later on this month. I think they got to tinker with them a little bit because there's independent analysts out there that keep track of this stuff that says we're losing 13,000 jobs a week in the month of November. During the month where we're supposed to be gaining jobs every single year. That's the way it happens for the holiday season. Not this time. So he's going to be bigly mad when the actual report comes out on that. But anyway, y'all, I was just wondering, I mean, he seems to be confused up about the Joe Bidens and stuff. Joe Biden ain't running for the president anymore. I know he calls him Sleepy Joe and all, but hey, we watched the whole thing that he did there. He had him a White House meeting, y'all. Did y'all see that? Yeah, I did. Y'all, I hope you didn't waste your time. That was a 2-hour long Saturday Night Live skit. I think it was. I think they were doing SNL Live right there. But look, Donald F. and Trump can't be talking about Sleepy Joe. Donald F. and Trump was sleeping, y'all. He was sleeping multiple times right there. He had his eyes closed, his head all cocked down. The dude about fell over a couple times. I mean, Don Snorleon's what he was, sitting right there beside the Marco Rubios, sleeping right there on the TV cameras. That's what he was doing. It's embarrassing. And not only that Russ Vogt feller, that's one of the lead architects of Project 2025 that Donald F. and Trump knew absolutely nothing about. Didn't know nothing about that Project 2025. Anyway, the dude that's in charge of all our money and everything there, Russ Vogt, now that feller right there, he was so into it that he was doodling clouds and pine trees is what he was doing. Just drawing him up some clouds and some pine trees because that meeting was so riveting, you know. But anyway, the whole thing was a big mess. Now, here's the deal, though. Our Department of the Homeland Security lady there, Kristi Noem, she said that Donald F. and Trump didn't allow any hurricanes at all this year. Didn't allow any hurricanes to hit the mainland United States. That Donald F. and Trump didn't allow it. And I'm like, I didn't know he had that much power. Now, I know that the last time when he was pretending up that he could steer them things with a Sharpie. You know, I didn't think that he still had the Sharpie is what it was. He did. He still had the Sharpie, according to Kristi Noem, still had the magic Sharpie. So when we didn't see him, you know, whenever he disappeared sometimes and everybody thought he was dirt napping, he wasn't. He was out on a piece of poster board with his Sharpie, making the hurricanes go away for us is what he was doing, according to Kristi Noem's, you know. And then Pete Kegsbreath, he gave us a big long speech and he said the word ethos a lot. He said ethos, 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 ethos. He likes that word a lot. His alcoholic brain is just stuck on that word. But anyway, that dude's in big trouble there, see, because initially there, Pete Kegsbreath, he said that whole thing about shooting up the dang boats and stuff like that, that was fake news. It was all fake news. They were double tapping them boats. But then Donald F. and Trump said it wasn't me. Donald F. and Trump said, "Well, I don't know anything. I don't know anything about that. I don't know nothing about it. You need to talk to Pete about that." And then Pete turned around and said, "Oh, wait a minute now. The thing is." It's ethos, y'all. It's the warrior ethos, y'all. It's the warrior ethos. And I didn't give that order. I didn't give that order there. It must be the admiral that did it. That's what it is. Now they're blaming the admiral. See how the doo-doo rolls downhill? You know, it used to be the buck stops here back when we had real presidents. Now and it's the doo-doo rolls down the hill is what it is. They're going to put it on the admiral. But see, the bad news for Pete Kegsbreath is that there's video of him in 2016 saying exactly what he is doing is wrong. He's saying that, you know, you can't be committing war crimes out there. He actually says that the military is not to take illegal orders from the commander-in-chief. It came right out of his mouth. It did. It came right out of his drunk mouth, y'all. He said it right there on the videos. And he said anybody who accepts those legal orders could wind up in Leavenworth. Right. And he also talks about, you know, killing people unwarranted like that is a war crime. Right. Just going out there and murdering people like they just did on them people on them boats, war crime. He says it right there on video. So he laid out his own prosecution in 2016 for himself is what he did. So I'm proud of him on that front right there. I think he was some sort of a military civil servant, like an attorney or something. Yeah, he did, because he skipped out on combat twice to go into the civil services. That's right. That's why he don't know nothing about combat while he lectures people about combat. Makes sense now. But anyway, so he did actually lay out his own prosecution for him way before he became a war criminal. So I'm proud of him on that front right there. But anyway, y'all, look, I'm just saying that meeting, I watched it. Y'all don't have to. It was just a big SNL skit. This whole thing is all whacked out, y'all. Look, hey, and look, Team Taco, I know y'all were saying that these right there, these ain't fishing boats. You know, they're running the dang drugs out there across the ocean and all. Hey, look, did you notice that first Donald F. and Trump said it was the fentanyls that they were bringing over in them boats? Is what he said. It was the fentanyls. And now it turned into cocaine, y'all. Now it went from the fentanyls to the cocaine out there in them boats all of a sudden. And here's the thing about them boats. I don't know if you've ever drove a boat, rode in a boat, or seen a boat, but they don't get good gas mileage at all. No, they're notoriously bad gas mileage, especially boats like that. You might get 2 miles to the gallon. You might get 2 miles to the gallon out of that. That's a 4,000 mile trip across that ocean right there. So, look, I don't understand where you're going to put all the fuel to run them boats across there. You would need thousands of gallons of fuel is what I'm telling you. And then you're faced with the decision. It's like, do I carry enough fuel to get me across the ocean to deliver the cocaine? Or do I just take the cocaine and then row most of the way across the ocean? You know, that's the situation you'd be faced up with right there, because, you ain't doing both. I can tell you that, you know. So, and if it was narco-terrorism, you know, that's that new phrase that we get to say all the time, narco-terrorism, because it double makes it bigly or badder is what it does when you put them two words together. If it was, you know what they would do? They would go to the Congress, is what they'd do, and show them the evidence and say, look, this is why we're out there blowing boats up out the water. It's because look at the narco-terror. They're not doing that. See, even the Bush administration, they had enough gonads to even fake the evidence right in front of the world so that we could go into Iraq. At least they tried to do that, and they did. They're not even trying to fake their evidence. They're just saying, hey, we're calling them narco-terrorists, and there's cocaines on those boats, previously known as fentanyl. It's now the cocaines, okay? And by the way, while we're out there blowing boats out of the water for now allegedly running cocaine, we're going to go ahead and pardon the Honduran ex-president for trying to sell 400 tons of cocaine into the United States there. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and pardon up on him that was doing a 45-year sentence. Pardon up on him. You know why? Because here's the thing. He's going to assist us in making sure we get another right-winger there in the Honduras and make sure that cocaine's flowing the way we want that cocaine to flow, you know. That's what it looks like to me there. Donald F. and Trump, if anything, he's just assisting in the narco trade, you know. He's just making sure the channels are flowing in the right direction, if you know what I mean. That's the way they do it out there in the small towns and stuff too there, Team Taco. You know, small towns, you know how the cops make sure that their product is the product that's on the street and stuff all the time. Why y'all don't do no criming out there? Anyway, I just let y'all know that was my thoughts for the day. I watched that stupid thing, and yeah, it might as well have been an SNL skit. These people do not know what they're doing and have no business in our government whatsoever. Inmate Trump.